Alright, good morning 7th grade students. Today is your first lesson out of the book, and your job is to get out your notebook and write down the title here and or lesson 1 and the title. So write this down into your notes and then follow along on this video, and I'm going to tell you what you need to write down and take notes. Okay? So let's get started. The title of this is Arithmetic and Whole Numbers and Money. So we're going to talk about money, and then we're going to talk about variables and evaluation. Okay, when you're taking notes in the book, there's going to be certain, there's going to be vocabulary such as these, and any words that are in blue, those are words that are going to be needed in your notes. So let's start. All right, so I want you to write down counting numbers. Counting numbers or natural numbers, those are the same thing. The counting numbers are the numbers when we count. So these are the counting numbers or natural numbers. Notice it doesn't include 0. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and on forever. So write that down. Then if you want to include 0 in the numbers, then those are whole numbers. So whole numbers are the counting numbers plus 0. Whole numbers are the counting numbers plus 0. So write that down. The set of whole numbers does not include anything less than 0. Between 0 and 1, so no fractions, or between any consecutive counting numbers. So in other words, whole numbers are just those numbers there, not decimals and fractions. The other thing you can write down is, you already know this, so if you can write this down or not, I don't care, because we know the operations of math that we will be discussing are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So in this lesson, we're going to review the operations with whole numbers and with money. So we're going to talk about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with money. So money, amounts of money are written different ways. You can write it with a dollar sign or you can write it with a cent sign, but not both. So that's important. You cannot write dollars and cents with both of these symbols. You have to pick one. So you can show 50 cents either way, so you want to write this down. 50 cents you either show with a dollar sign, 0.50 or 0.50, or you show with a cent sign. And sometimes we'll see a sign like this, but this is incorrect. So this is how you shouldn't do it. 0.50 cents is not correct. It's 50 cents or $0.50 dollars. Okay? So you can't have a decimal point with a cent sign. All right, let's move on. And you want to write that down. You cannot have a decimal point with a cent sign. All right, numbers that are added together, if you want to put this, numbers that are added are called add-ins, and the result of their addition is the sum. That needs to be in your notes. So numbers that are added are called add-ins, and sum is what you get when you add them together. So write this down, add-in plus add-in equals sum. So now we're going to do two examples. This is example 1, so you want to write example 1, and then you want to write the problem, and it tells us that we need to add. So when we're adding, you can see the work right here. We're going to line everything up, 36, 472, 3,614, and then add everything up. You should know how to do that. Then if we're adding cents though, so notice this is the one I want to focus on. You have $1.45, it's written like that, so write that down. Plus you have $6. So when you write $6, you have to remember to write 6.00, write it with dollars. And then 8 cents, well, how do you write 8 cents? Well, 8 cents is written like this in dollars, 0.08. Now we line up the decimal points and then we add everything up. So make sure that's in your notes. And pay attention when you're adding dollars and cents. All right, next in your notes is this down here. In subtraction, the subtrahend is taken from the minuend. The subtrahend is taken from the minuend. And the result is the difference. So you need that in your notes. So write that down. The subtrahend is taken from the minuend, and the result is called the difference. So the minuend is like the big amount, the total. You take away the subtrahend, and you get the difference. So example 2 shows us, let me get my pen here, example 2. So the 5207, that would be the minuend. Then the 948 would be the subtrahend. And then you're going to find the difference right there. Okay? So A and B, again, 5207, so you want to write this down, minus 948. They do the math for you, so you don't even have to worry about doing that. Just write that down. But then for B, notice that you have $5 subtracting 25 cents. So you need to know how to write $5. That's here, 5.00. When I subtract 25 cents, I have to write that as, with the decimal point and a dollar sign, and then you subtract. So be careful when you're doing that. All right, let's talk about factors. All right, numbers that are multiplied are called factors. Write that down. The result of their multiplication is the product. So you want to write that down and write this. Factor times factor equals the product. We're just going over definitions. All right, now these are different ways to show multiplication. So you want to write that down. Different ways to show multiplication. You can show it with this, the times sign. You can show it with a dot. This also means 4 times 5, putting one of the numbers in parentheses. That means 4 times 5. And then A times B. If you write letters next to each other, that means multiplication. So the parentheses in 4 times 5 is just clarifying that 5 is separate from 4 and that they do not represent 45. You don't have to write that part down. All right, let's go to the next part. All right, the next section is variables and evaluation. So write that down, variables and evaluation. And let's write down the definition of variables. Variables are letters. Okay, variables are letters that are used to represent numbers. It says the letters are called variables because their values are not constant. They vary. So you could write that sentence down. The next word is evaluate. We evaluate an expression by calculating its value when the variables are assigned specific numbers. So all you need to write is this. Evaluate an expression by calculating its value. So you evaluate by calculating. So example 5, here it says evaluate each expression, write that down, write the problem down, for x equals 10 and y equals 5. And the reason you write this down is because this is for your notes. So now we have 4 different problems that we're going to do, so I'll pick a different color here. So it says evaluate. So that means we're going to find the value. So x is 10, so for this one, x plus y, write x plus y down. We're going to make x equals 10. So I have 10, and then we're going to let y equal 5 here. So it's 10 plus 5. That's easy, that's 15. So now we're evaluating. We're going to do the same thing over here. We have x minus y. Well, this time x is 10, y is 5, but we're subtracting, and we get 5. The next one, we're multiplying. They want us to multiply 10x times 5. So x times y, 10 times 5, we get 50. And the next one is it shows you a fraction. That means to divide. So we're going to divide x, which is 10, divided by 5, and we get 2. Pretty easy. And that's the end of our lesson. So that's all you need to do. So if you have any questions from the video, make sure you put a question mark by what you have a question and be sure to ask me in class. Okay? Thanks for watching.